Hello.
Hi, Amy.
How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. You?
Pretty good, pretty good. Look at all the people that are already commenting.
Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Me and Amy, we've been prepping to the last second. We've been hiding behind that little video, trying to get everything ready for you guys. So,
how is everyone?
Hello, Melissa. Hello, Judy. And Jeremy, hello.
I saw that. Jeremy, are you a psychologist?
Hello, Sherry. June, hello.
Hi.
Hello, Kathy, Becky, Rebecca.
Yes, hi, ladies.
Brenda.
Lorraine's here. Nadine.
Well, welcome, everybody.
Hi.
Allison.
Oh, Allison's here? Oh, good. Hi. In South Africa?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's kind of like Lara.
Lara?
Sounds like Laura, a version of Laura. I guess it's close. Lara, I've never seen that name. Sharon, Angela, Dina, Cheryl. Everybody's rolling in. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad you could join us. So we call it cookie therapy. Just a little pandemic, thing that was born. And so we get to kind of have some relaxing time.
Right.
Eating, edible cookies are great, right? They just spread joy.
That's right.
They just
most people receive them and are like, wow, that's too pretty to eat. And we go eat them, we'll make more.
Exactly. I'll answer it here. Sandra wrote a question here. She saw the stitched cookie platter. That was actually, so I make a lot of my own stencils. I have a silhouette and I really like the flexibility that gives you within your own home, like instantly being able to have exactly what you need. And so I made that stencil myself. There's a huge inventory of art that you can purchase on the Silhouette Design Store, and that's how I made that particular stencil. So you can make your flowers bigger, smaller. Once you've purchased the art, you can tweak it to whatever you need. You can make them, really for your project. So that's where you can kind of do that. You're at school site?
Panama. Oh, Jeremy, yeah. But you're necessary, Jeremy. They need nice people when they have to have bad news,
Oh, a snow day. We have a few of those.
Wait, who's getting a snow day?
Here, hold on, Tasha.
Where are you, Tasha?
Hello, Lynn. All right. So welcome, everybody. I'm going to start just because we got a lot today. So last week I had mentioned that I was going to do some number cookies. And so that's what we're going to start with today. So I'm going to show you a little video. The first thing I'm going to show you is the video of how kind of I design the template. So here are the numbers. So you want to pick numbers. Hold on here. I'm going to hide this comment. So you want to pick numbers that are nice. There's so many fonts. You don't want like the top row. It's kind of like really something you'd see on your tax form. You want something that's a little bit more artsy.
Right.
And here you can see I've added these chubby black lines, and I'm going to play the video again just to show you what I'm talking about. So if you look at the black line, fatten up, you're going to see it increase. And you see that pink arrow? It's to show that gap go away. So if you're hand cutting your cookies and you have to get into all those nooks and crannies, it makes cutting cookies much more tricky. So if you do this bump out, well, your shapes get like just easier to cut out and they're actually a little sturdier. And so there I've added now the word to the number, and again, bumping out or adjusting the size so that it fits within the number. So sometimes it looks better straight, sometimes it looks better like vertically, horizontally. You can tweak it and pick the font you like. So once you've got your template, you want to kind of size it out. Usually I go 4 inches tall. This would be, I think, a centerpiece cookie on your platter. You don't want to, well, you could make, as many as you want of these, but you want to have a cookie that's not giant if you're going to be having it with other stuff. So 4 inches I find is a good size. And now I'm going to show you how to hand cut. So now you've got the template. So this is the template with the number. So I cut the dough kind of generally the size that I'm going to be hand cutting, and I put them in the freezer so that when I pull out the dough, I'm not going to let everything thaw out. I'm pulling piece by piece or a couple out of the freezer at a time. And if you leave them on a metal cookie sheet, they do stay chilled because the tin is cold. And now I'm using a pen blade to cut it out. Now, because the dough is chilled, it doesn't pull. So if it's room temperature dough, when you're pulling on one side, well, it's going to stretch on the other kind of a thing. And you're pressing down and it just doesn't work as well. And here I flip the cookie over because sometimes your blade, when you're hand cutting, will be angled slightly at like a 45. So it's helpful to flip the cookie over to make sure that you've got a straight cut.
Is that pin blade in your Amazon store?
I do have it, and I'll just show you a picture here. So those are pen blades. And that's an X-Acto. An X-Acto works just fine. The pen blade, if you look at the top of the picture there, there's like a little button, and that button pushes the blade back into the knife, like into the handle. And I do find that a little bit annoying because you'll be cutting and you'll knock that, and next thing you know, the blade's back in the protection thing. I do like the X-Acto. It's just a different product. They work much better than a paring knife. Maybe a paring knife works for you. Personally, I find this does a really cleaner job. If you look at the Pen Blade 15, it's a really small knife to get into the fine, detail. And yeah, chilled to frozen, leave it out for a couple of minutes for it to soften slightly, but you'll see it makes a huge difference if you're working with chilled dough.
Okay.
Let me just see here if we have any.
I don't know where I found it, but I have a retractable X-Acto knife. It's hot pink. I know I bought it because it was pink, but it was retractable, which was a great benefit.
What program is this? This is called Cookie Therapy, and I'm Marlyn, and this is Amy, and
hello, welcome.
Lives on Tuesday talking about cookie decorating, generally with royal icing. And here. Oh, thank you.
Trinidad.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. Yes, the dollar store does have the tin one that I showed. Yes.
Yeah, let's see. It says grade O, and the description says it is. Mine doesn't have a grade on it. I'll drop a link in here for the pack that I bought. It had 100 sheets in it. Did you know there was a difference in the thickness on them? I've never seen that. Mine doesn't have a grade on it, but I'll drop you the link in straight out of my from my Amazon orders. I'll put a link in here after we're done.
So here's the numbers again, just to show you them. I changed it a little bit. You see the 7. It's a bit angled on the 6. So you can kind of like play with it and customize them. If you're making these for your own children, for example, like I mentioned at the last slide, your kid's only going to turn 5 once. So you can order these. Many people sell them, but this is how you would customize and make your own version of these cookies. And you see with the bump out, you can kind of see it there. I use Pixelmator to do these types of things. I don't, when it comes to like font and stuff like that, I don't use the Procreate. I use Pixelmator. I think you could probably do it with Word. I haven't used Word in years, but anything with fonts. And now there's so many places that you can get free fonts, download online, and make your own really nice templates. Now, what is this? Is this the video?
I don't know. I'm not touching the controls.
Yeah. There it is. And I'm going to take this off.
Okay.
Did another question come in?
Well, we have Texas here, and let's see, Jeremy Woodworking.
Yes, well, okay, let's talk about the knife. Let's just do a little conversation about that, Jeremy. So when you're cutting and you're forcing up against the dough, make sure your hand is behind the blade. So when you're pushing, you see my hand is behind the direction that I'm going in. Always make sure that your hand is behind the direction you're going in. So that if there is a jerking that does happen, it doesn't go toward here. This was not ideal, but you're always trying to be your hand in front, like away from where you're pulling for safety.
Right.
Now we're airbrushing these cookies. So ideally when you're airbrushing, you're working on a white base. So now I'm just outlining and flooding. This is the 5 version. You want, if you're airbrushing, what happens is airbrush color, depending on how intense, like how dark you go, it's translucent. So if, let's say I was airbrushing in yellow and my cookie was green, well, the yellow wouldn't even show up. I just get like a wonky, weird green. And
Right.
so if you want your airbrush colors to be true, you want to be working with a nice white surface and a nice smooth surface. Because if you've got potholes in your cookie, when you airbrush, the airbrush actually brings out the potholes. You see them even more. They kind of like are enhanced, I want to say.
Right. Right. It does. They show up really, really.
Happy Tuesday to you. What program to make them? So I don't, cookie cutter temp. So I'm using Pixelmator. It's basically a bargain basement Photoshop that's available in the Apple Store. It's on Mac, and I really like it. It's very kind of easy to learn. Photoshop is both expensive and has a pretty steep learning curve. The Pixelmator is very affordable, and I find much kind of like, if you're not a super computer person, like easier to use. I like it. It's only on desktop. It's not really available on a tablet or anything like that.
Right.
And then I cut everything with my silhouette. So you can just print it off cardstock and cut it with your scissors, but I use the silhouette. So once you have like the bump out, that's pretty easy to cut out with scissors.
Right. Hey, Bermuda.
Hello, Angela. Lucky you.
Yes.
Hello, Maxine.
Hey, Maxine.
Well, I mean, you don't want to. Oh my gosh! A few years ago, I saw somebody who got their hands stuck in that sheeter. You know, the sheeter, fondant sheeter. So safety is very important. In cookies, you don't use a whole lot of dangerous equipment, but you don't want to hurt yourself when you're.
I saw somebody slice their hand with one of those pen blades.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
And they were live, and no one was there to help them get the camera turned off fast enough. It was a few nights of nightmares.
Oh my gosh. For the plastic, okay, so Donna, I cut my stencils just for me. I don't sell my stencils. So I'm cutting the plastic I'm buying is 0.004. All the kind of chats and conversations I've seen, people struggle a lot with the proper thickness of plastic. If you're not selling, 0.004 is sturdy enough, does the job. I reuse them, no problem. But usually if you're selling, you want 0.007, but that's when problems arise. You have to cut over the stencil multiple times. Your blade ends up getting worn down. The 0.004, your blade will last longer. It's one pass, factory setting. Boom, you've got a stencil.
Yeah, and when you can make your own, if something goes wrong, you just make another one, right? So no big deal.
Exactly.
Not like you have to order and pay shipping.
You can't find it.
Right, exactly. That's more what happens, isn't it?
And then the other aspect too, Amy, if you can cut your own stencils, is let's say you have a big job. You don't have to constantly wash your stencil. You could cut maybe 4.
Right.
You know,
and then affordable, right?
Exactly. You can have them all there and be able to crank it out, and then you go to the sink and wash those 4, and then again you can work. I think for productivity, it could be very good.
It's a big deal at Christmas, I can tell you that, because when I do stencils for PYOs, I buy 4.
I have it. So on Facebook, I have a store there. If you click the button, and I have everything linked there for the stencil plastic that I buy off Amazon. If you want to see it, it's there. What kind of flood did you use this time? For that one, I think it was like 20-second or 15-second. It was probably even runnier because I had like no real detail going on there.
They like the sprinkle wall.
Yes.
The sprinkle wall is my happy place, you guys. I just come sit in my husband's desk chair on the other side and look at that some days.
Yes, June, I stab myself with the scribe trying to take it out of the cup that I put it in.
Seriously, do you know these? Do you guys all have these like little needle ones?
Yes.
This, because it's so long, I barely used it anymore because it's so long, because I always injure myself with this.
Hi, Joseph. Hi, Kim.
Hey, you guys. How's everyone? Yes, I've done that a lot.
Edible images. Amy has a printer, I think. I don't have a printer.
I do that a lot. For
Hello.
corporate jobs when they want it really specific.
From the Philippines.
Cool.
Hello, Bright Eyes. Welcome.
Hi, Bright Eyes. I recognize
Oh, yes, it's
that.
Dr. Seuss's birthday today. Yes, Joseph. Hello, Cynthia. Okay, so now, so we've got the cookies, ice, they're dry. We're airbrushing. When you're airbrushing and you're resting a stencil on the cookie, you want to have a dry surface because you're kind of pressing on it, right? So here, let's do the camera dance.
Here we go. You always do that so effortlessly. I played with it earlier today and I just couldn't get the cameras in the right place.
So I don't know if I should show the versions first.
Oh, Missy has Missy puts earring backs, those plastic backers over the tips of her scribes.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, isn't that good? Good hack there, Missy.
Then, but I wouldn't find it after, like, you know.
Yeah, maybe. What
kind of printer do you have, Amy?
I have the one from Icing Images in Winchester, Virginia, and it's a Canon 6000 something, 6020. I do really like it, and I do use it quite often. I use it for cupcake toppers, for cake toppers, and cookies. It was a big deal to have it for the cookies when I had a couple of really large corporate orders and I needed some really small specific bits. It was great.
I prefer the clear plastic myself, just for alignment when you're laying your stencil down. So I buy clear plastic. So here are the cookies, the 3 versions. So this is when you can kind of like use like here, for example, the 2 with the mermaid print on it. Well, you
love your mermaid.
Yes, you could pair this with seashell cookies, with all sorts of little sea creatures. And then here I have them. Once you're done, you could add just some little fun and details to them.
Love it.
Here is the 9. I airbrushed a little bow. You could add a little like decoration like that. Here's the 5, and I had a button. I make my fondant decorations white, and then I can coordinate them perfectly with my project.
I do. So, do you spray them or you hand paint them?
I spray them.
Me too.
Yeah, because then they don't get as wet.
Right.
You know?
I like to make those way ahead of time.
Yes, exactly.
So some of the sprinkle wall is just dried white fondant pieces.
Oh yeah, well that's it. That's awesome.
Oh, I love that.
Well, I'm glad that I took you over to the dark side, Mabel. If you're having trouble with your consistency, I'd say like it's just practice and trial and error. And you know, I mix it in the bowl, and when I shake the bowl and I see that it's healing, usually that's my indicator that I'm on the right track with regards to the consistency. I have a few videos. There's one on Facebook.
Oh, I like that. Do you want me to keep flipping through the comments while you're working?
Why fondant? Well, because they're just completely different look. So
those you did in a mold too, right? You did those in the silicone mats.
Yes. So I could, I guess, do certain things, but they just look completely different. And it gives it just a, you know, another look. Like here is the bee. And this is actually a royal icing transfer.
So cute.
And you know, it's whatever you want to use. If you want to make them out of royal icing, then do it. But I like the look of the seashell made out of the mold, the bow, the button.
Right. And also, depending on where you are, you can different times of the year use modeling chocolate, which is quite nice as well. Exactly.
But this is such a small amount. Like it's, you know, it's not, I don't think that much of a. So here's the 4. So I'm just going to talk you through the process of this one, and then we'll do the mermaid. So when you're airbrushing, there's adding decoration and there's also shielding. So it's like a dance of the 2 things. So when I want to add this yellow, well, I want to protect where the blue is, because if I was to not protect where that blue is and I was to add the yellow and it would be on top of the blue, well, I'd end up with green.
Green.
So you
do that cut out on the silhouette too?
Yes. so this is even more of a bump out because it's bigger than the cookie.
Mm-hmm.
So I start by airbrushing where's my 4? So the first thing I do is I lay the 4 down, and then I airbrush the perimeter so that then I know where to put this.
Right.
Because if I put this first, I can't see if I'm centered. So by doing the other one first, well, I can see if I'm centered. I see exactly. Right. Then that perimeter becomes my guideline for placement of this second one. So when I have this protects the outside. Then I can lay my stencil on top and then add this decoration. Okay?
It looks great.
So that's the logic there. So here's my stencil holder. So I'm going to put my 2 here. Here, let's take out the mermaid first.
I like that holder too.
Where's my 2?
I've been doing that all morning. Where did this go?
Here's the 2. I'm not centered. I'm going to move here a second.
Okay.
Is this better?
Mm-hmm, that looks good. There we go.
All right. So when you're airbrushing, it makes wind. The wind is enough to move your stencil. I use magnets. You can get yourself some clean bolts at the hardware store, clean them. And they're nice, small little weights to weight your stuff down. Now my airbrush has been sitting. I don't know if it's going to cooperate. Looks like it's not too bad. So I usually hit the actual cardboard and it creates like an overspray, and it's enough. If you airbrush right on that perimeter, well, you're going to end up with a lot of overspray on the cookie, which I don't love.
Right.
If you hit the cardboard, you get enough pigment on the actual cookie, on the icing, I should say, not the cookie. Because you don't need to, like I said it before, you don't need to scream the colors all the time at people. Like, they get it, you know, that this is supposed to be, you know, a different color.
Right.
I think I would have preferred, like, I don't know why that's, maybe it's because I had blue in my airbrush, but my teal is kind of like dingy. All right. So now that I've got that on, I can use my protection here, you see, and it's going to protect that blue. And now I'm just going to, whoops, I'm just going to secure that to hold the mermaid shells. Are they in the same direction? Yeah. And now I'm just readjusting that. So this is the 2 doesn't have a hole in it, you know, like a 4 has a hole in it. Mm-hmm. This can get tricky because there's nothing to hold it in place. So I did pop that little 4 triangle under the stencil, but here, like the 9, I just didn't airbrush in that area to not get the blue, but you need like something, you know, you see that? Like it's going to get airbrush on it. The 9 is smiling.
Yes. So did you save that little piece when you cut all of that?
I did.
For shielding?
I think you could maybe like cut it out if you're really finicky, cut it out of a Post-it.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
And then it would maybe hold it in position.
Jeremy.
Now, is this the pink? Yeah. Okay, so now I'm just going to dust this whole thing in pink.
You have a question about your silhouette and cutting fondant. Have you done that?
No, I haven't done that. I haven't done that. Years ago, I think Cricut came out with this thing that cut fondant. This was something you just throw in your dumpster. And it was the most horrible piece of trash. And that's why when I came time to looking to what machine to buy just for paper, I didn't buy it because I'd had such a bad experience with the fondant one. People love their Cricut. That's good. But that was why.
That it was called a cake something. Do you
remember? My God, horrible.
Yep. I got one used.
There, actually. Still
yeah, I got one used from someone, and mine is also a paperweight. And mostly it did not work well for me, but also I just, as of having taken so many food safety courses, I just couldn't get behind using that for that.
So this stencil here is a bought one, and I don't remember where.
So one day they would like a tutorial on making the stencils and showing the plastics.
So now lightly airbrushed, and I'm just going to darken the perimeter just to give it a little bit of a blush, you see, on
This
the
is
edge.
so great you're doing mermaids, Mar, because these are going to be super popular in about a month. All the mermaid birthdays will
All the
start
mermaid
happening.
stuff's going to come out.
Mhm.
Now, when we talk layering colors, some colors go on top of each other. So purple works with pink. So now when I come on top of this pink, I can just do little, like I'm just hitting right at the base of each little like scale.
Right, that looks great.
Someone asked about the holder, Amy. Do you remember what this is again? I always forget the name.
I do not remember who that's from, but it's one of the nice heavyweight ones.
Yes, it's got a hinge on it. My gosh, I am for sure losing my memory. Like without it, no, it's not even joke. I don't remember my own name. Like I blank out on so many things.
Mar, is that our age, or is that because we've been in the house so long because of the pandemic?
Maybe, I don't know.
Sweetest tears.
There it is. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you,
June.
So there it is. Let's reveal. And now that that's been airbrushed, do I have it handy? I had prepared. Oh, here it is. So if you want, because it's mermaidish, I've got alcohol here. So this is high proof alcohol. And I'm just going to, and it changes the look of airbrush when you add alcohol to it. It just kind of makes it look a little bit more watercolored.
Yep.
And so you let that dry, and then you can dust it once it's dry, and that dries super fast. I mean, even you just go like this and it's going to dry. And then you're going to dust it with a little bit of, I have it here. I'm just going to add a little bit of pearl to it.
You know, when you hit it with the alcohol like that, with the Everclear or the vodka, whatever you use, it gets that fun look like gasoline on pavement. You know what I mean? That mirrored, and it really looks like the mermaid scales. Looks perfect.
I don't know if I'm flexing, Jeremy, but I'm trying to give you guys some kind of like, you know, inspiration of what projects you can kind of undertake. So now that you've got this on, now for the words. So if you don't have a projector, there are a few ways you can cut out the actual word. So what happens when you're making stencils?
Now that stencil, you guys, is a stencil genie. If you like that one, I have that one too.
So here's the cutout. So you have the two pieces, right? The hole and the perimeter. So when you've got things like a word like for, well, there's holes, right? The hole in the O and all that. Well, when you're using the perimeter, well, those holes are gone, and you can see it in the case here of the 5 I airbrushed. You lose like see, it becomes all gray. So if that doesn't bother you, then you can just airbrush, and then you have your guidelines, and it looks like a shadow. Right. So it's not a huge deal. But if you prefer not, you can also put the cutout on the thing and then lay a mesh on top, and then you airbrush and you get the shadow on the perimeter instead.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if you can see it, it's there.
Oh, that looks good.
Lay the mesh on top, and then you can just airbrush lightly in either the purple or maybe a gray, and you get the shadow, and then you'll know exactly where to pipe. So
Marlyn, someone's asking about what is the pearl stuff? What did we use that was pearl?
I use this here.
What did you just put on there?
It's Roxy Rich. I spray it on my pump brush. I don't spray it on the cookie because it comes out, I find, irregular kind of, you know, sometimes. So I find that if I put it on the brush, I can kind of dust it around and I use less.
Clear stencil. Is the clear stencil in your shop?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And then Rebecca's asking, I missed it. Airbrush color, then hit with a mist of alcohol. Yes.
So I'm just going to quickly, because I'm now going into Amy's time.
Oh, you're fine. I can keep mine shorter today.
All right. So where am I in the frame here?
Yep, you're good. You're centered. Let's see. Any alternative suggestions for us in the far away where a silhouette or cricket is half a year's salary?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, if you have the time and the patience, because it's not doable to hand cut them. Right. I mean, have a printer and you print your design on
Cardstock.
cardstock, and then you use that blade that I showed to cut the cookie dough, you can cut your stencils, and you don't need to cut the whole thing. You can cut your information points,
right?
And it'll work great. But for these, well, you have to buy them made there, the design ones. But that's the option.
You could use Amber's wet on wet technique and do those beautiful flowers, right? And your leaves. And then maybe it would be tricky to do your 5, but you could probably accomplish that with a projector, right?
Yeah, I don't know what the access is also for a projector. I got my projector off of AliExpress. I'm going to use it in a video soon. So now, because of I wasn't that prepared. I would like my icing to be runnier. So what happens when you're icing, like when you're doing this type of a thing? So now I'm just squeezing enough to go wide so that it widens and fills that gap. So ideally my icing would self-level, but it's that little line too thick where it's holding the rippling. And you can see that it's got like kind of like a, looks like the side of my eyes. It's all like wrinkles right there. So you want to have it just a little bit runnier so that will heal. But you see with the gray there,
like it's settling a little.
It is. So now you see it. You see exactly how wide it should go. You see? So you're filling in that gray zone, kind of.
And this, no one's asking this, but I'm just guessing from my computer screen. I'm guessing you went to a gray and not a black.
Yeah, this is it's dark. It's called cappuccino.
Oh, wow.
And I added a bit of black to it.
So pretty. The color's really nice. Cheryl is asking approximation on what second that icing would be that you're using right now.
Well, this one here is actually too thick in my view. It's probably wouldn't even heal if I was to flood. So now, if you want, you can outline the actual number. So what you're doing is you're hiding the seam between the number and the perimeter that we created.
It makes such a nice attention to detail, though, on these cookies.
So if you can see, I'm using the paper towel as my turntable. So you can just handle the paper towel, and that's enough to turn the cookie. So that's your discount turntable.
There's always a workaround, right?
Exactly.
That's the fun thing about it, you guys. You really don't have to spend a ton of money to jump in. Just start doing some cookies. Do dipped cookies, marbled cookies, practice wet on wet. That's so pretty. That looks great with the outline.
What am I seeing that's shiny on them?
I don't know. I was wondering that. I thought maybe it was what you just dusted it with.
I didn't do anything, but anyway, you can see. So this is a layered stencil by Killer Zebra. And so each layer allows you to do a super clean airbrushing of each color. So a stencil for the green, a stencil for the pink, a stencil, you know, and so you get to add your designs, and you can see.
Do you know how beautiful that would be with a little tea party set for a little girl's birthday?
Well, here, I want to add this one just to show. To add your little button.
Rebecca just put us up on a 65-inch screen TV. I'm not sure we want to be seeing that closely.
Exactly. But you can see here, you see the floor. You know, there's just so many possibilities that you can do with these to tie them into your set that you're making.
Pretty. The bead too, especially.
100 pounds is the ideal cardstock that I found. It's easy to access. It's available in store at Walmart, and it makes a great cardstock to both stencils. When I do my airbrush stencils like this is the 100-pound, and it does a great job, and it's not expensive.
And it's not bent or anything. I mean, you used that several times the other day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very good, I have to say.
Any basic classes in your cookie school, Marlyn, on airbrushing? Someone just got their first airbrush.
Yes, I have quite a few videos. if you do go in the school and you can't, like, just send me a message and I'll put them in for you, because sometimes I have older ones that maybe are better suited for what you're looking for. Because Facebook group started, the Facebook group just started, and so not all the videos that are on Patreon are in the Facebook. Patreon has more videos just because it's existed for longer. You know?
Gotcha. I gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Bottles. I don't think you didn't use any bottles today, did you?
This is maybe what she's talking about here. Hold on. Is this what she's talking about?
Maybe.
This was available at Michael's. I think this was in like their scrapbook section. And I just pour a little bit of alcohol in it and then pour it back in my bottle, because it does evaporate right out of this.
Thank you, Angie.
Yes, I try to lead you in the right direction of whatever it is that you want to find.
You usually get me in the right space.
I try. Yes, the icing, you want to have it like a little bit like more elevated. Like it gives it I don't know, it gives it a nice look. It's all right, Amy. You can see that was it.
I'm going to send this one to the back, and so you can see some flowers, okay?
Here, let's do the camera dance there.
Are we good?
We're good.
Okay, so guys, I was going to show you like just on basic parchment paper, but then I thought you might be more interested in these if you could actually see them done on a flower. Oh, wait, Elaine is asking, she thought you were using a bottle on the word 5, but you weren't, right? You were just using a bag and a piping tip?
Yeah.
Okay, let me adjust that a little bit. Does that look good for you guys? So I thought it might be interesting for you to see how you can actually use the florals on cookies. So I'm going to show you, it's easier to demonstrate on camera, usually doing something bigger rather than something smaller, but I do want to show you a couple of things. So there's lots of tips out there, and basically you're just going to have to take a day, get some super, super stiff consistency icing where it literally makes a peak where it looks like it comes up and it just comes over, but it doesn't fully fall. If you are a DIY person and you do a lot of painting, when you get your icing to that consistency, it actually looks like spackling, like you would fix a hole in a wall with. It's that thick. You need to get to that thick, and it has a very matte finish on it. So you'll need to play with it. The reason I like to do my florals, the smaller bits and pieces that I like to do them way ahead, is because you can, depending on your icing, depending on how long you've worked your hand in cookies, it could really, you're going to have a stiff hand afterwards, I guess is what I'm after. This part of my hand, when I pipe a lot of royal icing, this is where I tend to have trouble right here. And it's just due to the, it's the stiffness of the icing and what you're trying to accomplish with it. So these are just some flowers that I piped. I'm going to hold them up a little closer. And I'm going to show you how to do one of these and just talk about the tips. And of course, if you're seeing a lot of sparkle, it's because this thing is coated in diamond dust, because I really like sparkly cookies. So that person really wanted sparkly cookies. Hey, Mimi. This is what it dries like, no sparkle. So you're going to have some customers that will really want that extra bling, and you'll have some that will not. Now, this was an interesting cookie. I actually used floral tips plus leaf tips to make this really pretty flower right here. So I'm just going to show you a couple things. One of the things people ask me in the springtime is how I make my little, I call them pea pods. They look like a particular plant. I don't know the name of the plant. I just really like them, so I mimicked them. So I'm going to show you how to do that first, how you can do this color in color.
So Amy, what are you working? What's the cookie? Is it a cloud I saw?
You know what? This was just like a plaque cutter that I did this cookie on. That's one of the things I love about florals. You don't have to have a specific cutter. This is
that's Anne Clark Rose.
Yep, Anne Clark Rose. Thank you. And I think this is Anne Clark Rose too. Yes. So a lot of times when I do floral sets, I work in the candy corn shape. I work in rounds. I work in just regular long skinny plaque cutters, just any of them. You can mix anything in, okay? So remember last week when I couldn't find my 2 egg-shaped cookies, and so I used my mushroom to make my bunny. So I found the eggs. I'm going to use the eggs today. you guys, really, you can use anything that you want. I will tell you two things though. These are cookies that, if you really want to get them to where they're very realistic, can you see that razor fine edge on these flowers?
Yes.
Can you see that on the camera? Okay. So
Yes.
these are not cookies that you want to bag and then put in a box and stack up next to each other, right? When that royal icing gets good and dry, you could chip these and they're quite beautiful like this. So you may have to factor in some additional cost for how you actually box these, right? If you have to individually bag them right now due to the pandemic, bagging is fine, but you don't want to stack them. So you may have to take that cost into consideration. Same
So
thing on
Amy,
here.
what is it like eating one of those?
Well, it depends. These actually, if you space it out where you have the cookie, the flower part is one part, and then you do these minor parts, these are really, really pretty soft. This is like having a royal icing decoration on a cake. So I don't mind it. And it's not like having rock candy by any means. But I really like the look of this. So again, in a set of 12 cookies, I might only have 2 of these, and then the rest of them might be low level florals. But this is something that people really appreciate, the art part of it, right? So, and the other reason it's good to do the royal icing transfers ahead of time is not just because of your hand, but because they're so small, they're really easy to pop off a cookie if you don't want to eat them, although I find they dissolve pretty quickly. But I do want to show you this because I put this together for you today to just give you some ideas, okay? So some tips. This is a 67 tip. This is one of my favorite tips. Can you see it has the V in the center and then it's got openings on both edges? I love this one. This is particularly fantastic in the fall for pumpkins.
You wrote the numbers. You're so good.
I did because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to see it by the time that I got on camera today. So this is there's open star tips and closed star tips. I prefer to pipe my details with the open star tip. I know there's a time and a place for the closed star tips. I just prefer the open. So this is a number 16. This is a great one for small details, right? And you can also, of course, they go larger than this too, but here's a 21. So you can see the difference of those two tips. They're both open star tips, but both those are great. Then this is a closed star tip. If I'm going to use a closed star tip, this is generally the one I use. It's a 224. It's the one that has the little bar inside. So this little piece right here, it makes a very particular kind of flower that you do straight up and down and you shimmy it back and forth. It's quite beautiful. This is a 116. I use this a lot. Can you guys see that wave? This is a 116. I use this a lot on cupcakes. This size is perfect for cupcakes. And then I found something recently I wanted to show you guys because my husband is a southpaw. So there's not tons of things out there for you guys, but Wilton does actually have a left-handed set for, you know, because they pipe differently depending on which way you rotate the nail head and all of that. So there is actually a left-handed set out there now with some of the fancier floral tips. So if you're a southpaw, look for that. I think that's handy.
I've never heard that expression before.
Oh yeah, maybe it's a Louisiana thing. I don't know. This is one of my most favorite ruffle tips. Have you guys seen these? I don't even know where I got this. I just know it's a number 80 because it's stamped. I'm sure if you Google it, you can find it. But
AliExpress, I know they have it.
Yeah, I love this one though. There's a lot of different ones, but I love this one with this like little ocean wave to it. It makes a beautiful, beautiful flower petal and it's low profile. So if you're concerned, that's a fantastic cookie for that. I mean, a tip to pipe with. And then we've got our regular like rose tips. So right, this is a 103. I'm going to be showing you a 101. There's also a 101S. These go larger, like there's a 104. There's another size beyond the 104, really like that. And then this is a new tip that I've been playing with lately because I wanted to make that that flower.
Yes,
that flower.
Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, but I've been using this, playing with this to make that one that I can't pronounce that starts with an R. Is it?
Yes, the Rena, whatever.
Ranculus,
yes.
Ranunculus. I don't know. I love those flowers because I love how they bloom and how tight they are. But this tip is great for that. Somewhere in the last 2 weeks, I've lost my larger one. I used it and I can't find it. When I get my hands on it again, that's the one I prefer to use, is the bigger one. But if we get to it, I'll show you this one too. So I thought we'd start right away, just right on a cookie, and maybe do some pea pods. I'll show you those first in case we run out of time. So I have that really stiff peak icing. I think you noticed in these bags, I have the tops cut off so that it won't be in the camera. Normally I leave that on because I like to have the grip for my hand. It helps. But I did trim the tops. And I also, because I like to change my colors out, because you know that one leaf tip that I showed you, the 67 that I said was my favorite, and it's my favorite because you can get a nice design in the center. Sometimes I use this for floral petals, and then sometimes I use it for leaves. So I just want to bounce between colors. So I'll be using, I call these sleeves. I make a sleeve. So we're going to start first with, yeah, let's do those petals first. What do you guys think? The pea pods. Do you like those? And if anybody knows what they're really called, you can definitely feel free to tell everybody. But for the rest of my life, they're always going to be pea pods because that's all I can think of when I think of them, right? So
Cheryl wrote the whatever flower. I can't.
Ranunculus. Is that how you say it, you guys? Ranunculus? I don't know. But I love them. They're beautiful flowers. Okay, so always keep a damp paper towel so that you can purge the tip. You always want to do that before you get started. And then, listen, let me just tell you, you can have these in so many sizes. You just have to get, it depends on what you want to use it for, right? These are the round tips. Do you see all this? Right, you don't need the fancy $5 PME tips for the thing we're about to do, but I would recommend that you use a larger opening. So this one, for instance, is a number 5. And I'm going to cut this one on camera so you can see it. Typically, I just hold my bag up next to my tip and I come about halfway because the pressure of the thicker icing could cause you to develop something for the bloopers reel, right? So basically, you just want enough of an opening that when you put that tip in, it's out of the bag but has enough pressure from the bag that it's not going to push through, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, the piping tip will fly right out of the bag if you don't have a small hole.
With this thick of an icing, I've definitely done that. I've shot them across the room.
Well, I'd be worried about that thin plastic bag just splitting right up the side.
I haven't had that happen yet, but look, I think the reason is because it's double layered, right? So this is my really thick green. I cut just enough of this off where this will slide into the tip but not obstruct the tip. Does that make sense? So that it'll come out normal. So it's in there. You can see it's all the way down in the tip, but it's not obstructing the flow of the icing. All right, so let's do this one. And I'm going to try to do this at an angle. When I do them in the shop, I do pipe perpendicular. They're absolutely straight up and down. But for you guys, I'm just going to try to do it from the side. So to do that pea pod, I am a little bit above the cookie and I'm staying in the same spot. And do you see how it's making that perfect little circle all on its own? So I'm going to do about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 of these on the cookie, knowing how big I want my circles to get. Now, typically I pipe these last. They go on right before the leaves, but just to give you an idea, this is great for me because I don't have to take time with the scribe to knock those points down. So I just have this little odd cluster, right? I've got 7 little pods there, and they're in a light mint green. These are so pretty for Mother's Day. And I'm going to drop down to my number 3 tip. I'm using my damp paper towel, just cleaning that off. Literally, it's like doing cookie Botox. I put the tip, before I put any pressure, I go the tip down into the green and I give it a squeeze. And can you see what's happening? Let me lift it up for you. So watch the all green one to the right. Let me see if I can turn it. Can you see in the color any better?
Yeah, no. Well, you're basically adding a 2-tone, right?
Yeah, but I think maybe I should have done it in 2 different colors for you guys so you could see it a little better. Let's try it like this. I turned the bright light off of it. So I'm down in there, and do you see what's happening, how I'm just blowing the pot up, and the center is actually white and the outer edge is green?
Yeah.
Can you see that?
I can see it. I guess they can see it if I can see it.
Can you see it on here?
Yes, we can see it for sure on there.
Isn't that fun? Okay, so I really enjoy those. Take a quick second, knock down that little tip because you are going to have that when you pull out on these. But such a cute little filler flower, okay? Now, how about we move on and I show you.
Karen wants to know if you find it's easier to do your double bag method there instead of using.
Oh, yeah. Because I like to switch really fast and I don't really do all those couplers.
Okay.
For me, when I sit down to do these, I've got all my colors laid out. I've got my bags already made and I do a whole bunch of green, a whole bunch of pink. Okay, so let's do this next. We've done our little pea pods. So now what I'm going to show you is how I'm going to scrape this so I can keep using this same cookie. All right. I'm just going to take this off for today and we're going to start doing a rose on here. So I made you some really nice dark pink and then I made some light pink. So typically when I do a flower like this and it has to be on a large cookie, I'll start with my smaller tip and my lighter color. I'm not that great at bagging two colors together. They never seem to come out properly. Other people do it where they paint one side of the bag with dark pink and the other side light pink. It's just not my thing yet. I'm not that good at it yet. So I just take my 101 and I'm straight down on the cookie and I'm just making a mound of icing to make that center. Then I want to turn my bag. It's a teardrop shape, so the skinny part should be towards the ceiling. This is really great to do on a turntable. I'm just going to hold it so I have a little more control. And I'm usually when I do these, you guys, I work in threes. You don't have to do that. The main thing that you want to do is work where they're offset. So if you get into a particular cookie and it's just not working for you, you know, C3 didn't quite cover the mound that I made in the center for this flower. So I'm just coming up and over and down. Do you see how that looks on the cookie? Can you see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now when I get to this point, because this icing is stiffer, I usually have a jar of my little nonpareils. I can't say it the way you say it. I love how you say it, but it's not for me.
Well, basically, you're adding pollen, like a look of pollen, right?
This is a really easy way to do that, but you need to do it before you go much further.
You're out of frame a bit, Amy. Just push a little bit up.
How's that?
Well, it was fine. It's not that you're down. It's just that you're too low.
Too far back.
No, not too far back, just too down. Like push the cookie away from you.
Okay. So you have to do this before the icing sets up or these will drop off. But it's a great, quick, easy way. This is a nice soft candy, so no problem. I'm going to clean the tip again, and I'm going to go one more round. And what did you see the first time? I don't know if I mentioned it, but I was really working straight up and down to the cookie. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this time I'm going to do one more round of that with this tip. And you can make it as roughly frilly as you want to, or you can keep it nice and smooth. So on the center of the flower, because usually when a flower is blooming, the center is always a little tighter. And because I like it to sit up higher, the center that's why I use the smaller tip, so I get this look. But then I immediately come back in with my next shade of pink. This is all the same color. It's just that soft pink from Hobby Lobby. And I've jumped up to the 104 and I have my teardrop tip. I'm putting the fat part at the bottom of the cookie, but I'm at more of an angle now. So I'm going to start over here so it flares out. And this is how you keep really from getting too much icing, right? So I'm just working, making this little flower head. Now you saw that first one fell over. I actually like that. If you don't like that, scrape it and make a more upright one. But I'm just going to come over to where it's covering that. And then on my last pass, so you see each time I'm just coming back the petal that was before it. On my last pass, I'm going to put my bag almost parallel to my cookie. And I'm just going to work it in and out and get a little ruffle for my flower. Do you see how just that little bit of change? So I think when you're making these flowers, you guys, what you really have to just get used to is make something beautiful. I don't really make flowers to look exactly like the flowers.
I like the term fantasy flower. Have you ever heard that?
No, but that sounds pretty.
Well, it's just fantasy flower means it doesn't have to be something you'd find in the garden, but it's still, You know what I mean? Like people
Right.
understand it's a flower.
So this is full on flower. I've covered the whole cookie. I don't usually do them this big on the cookie. You can see on these, I usually do, you know, less than 50% of the cookie is that large flower. But now, guys, I have to tell you, I can't hardly do these cookies anymore without a hit of this stuff. I just really like the shimmer. Hope this isn't blowing up the camera, but this makes such a huge difference on these flowers. Let's see. So this, you would then go back and you could add your pea pods immediately. And the reason you can do that is because it helps hold up your flower petals too, right? If you've got to move fast, there's always a workaround. I feel like, you know, there's a, yes, you could let these sit up for days. You definitely could, but if you need to go faster, there are workarounds. So in that case, you just make sure that green icing is stiffer. Now, we're at almost 2 o'clock, Mar, so I'm just going to show
No,
my...
it's fine. I think everybody's fine. I just want to say thank you to Melody and Jeremy for sending stars. Thank you. Or Justin. Sorry, Jeremy's in my head.
So do you see how clean this tip is? I could immediately put another color in here and start piping, right? Just purge the tip and that green would be out, and my green bag is great. So I'm going to take my green and go right over to my leaf tip, my 67, and I'm going to show you on the blank cookie what the 67 does. This is the reason I like the 67 so much.
What's the shimmer?
Diamond dust. It's white diamond dust. So do you see this one, how it has that center bit? So you can get really either very lacy flower petals, or you can use this for your leaf. But just the difference of what you're doing with the tip. Look at all the different things you can do with this one tip. Look at that flower that you can make. This is one of my favorite tips to use on a cupcake. Do you see that? This is also a great tip if you're doing under the sea cookies. When you turn it on its side, look what this does.
When you do what?
When you turn the tip, instead of using it like it's supposed to be used for a leaf tip,
yeah,
right? When you turn it on its side, you can make coral. This is one of my favorite things on my under my sea cookies.
Oh, under the sea. Okay.
See what it does? So great filler, keeps it very low profile, so it's not a lot of icing, right? All right, then the other thing is for leaves, for pumpkins. Watch this. If I'm holding it in the same spot and I'm giving it a lot of pressure, and look at the beautiful pumpkin leaf. All you need to do is change your color to dark green. Do you see that? And let me show you a quick tip for this tip. When you're squeezing like that and you're making that big lacy leaf, give it a little swirl so that it pulls out to a point so that you don't have to touch your scribe. Does that make sense? So I can get a nice fat leaf. I can come back to a little one, rest it on the cookie, and break that tail off. Then again, for productivity, you don't have to grab that. Now, you know why I like this tip too? It looks like the Cheese Whiz cans.
What did you say? Looks like what?
You know the Cheese Whiz cans? Do you guys have Cheese Whiz? I don't eat it anymore because I now know how bad it is.
That thing that you squirt in your mouth there?
But as a kid, I used to make edible art on crackers with the Cheese Whiz can.
Oh yeah, we don't have that in Quebec anyway. It's not in our stores.
It's not good for you, but I know that my cookie thing was coming on a long time before I realized it, right?
Yes, that's it.
When you're exploring, and that's like an open star tip on those cans. So I'm just adding a little bit of greenery. The other thing I really like to do with these flowers, when you make these really big flowers, it's so much fun to come back. This actually is a white flower. You see that? It's actually a white flower that I then used Everclear and dark purple food gel and made a little bit of, I don't know, is it paint? I don't know if you technically call it paint, but I went back and did all of the edges to give it that dark look, and then dry dusted.
Because it tends to pool in the crevices, right? And so then it becomes darker and lighter. And
right. It's so pretty. It works like watercolor, right? So you've got this nice spring flower. You can pop in here if you want to get some more color. So this is just one of the things that you can do, right? But you saw Let me show you one here really quick. One of the things, am I still in frame? I like to do these leaves. I like for everything to be done. Like when I'm done, I want that to be done and go in the dehydrator. So I'm just putting 4 leaves down really quick for you, okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and I'm going to take the out of my 101 tip. I'm going to pull that out. And you see how clean my bag is. It was right in there, totally clean, nice and easy. This is super fast. I'm going to come in and I'm going to put it in the closed star tip, the only one that I actually like, the 224. This one has the bar in the center. And your icing, you guys, has to be just right. I'm sliding this right in there, right? So again, it's going right into that tip, nice and clean, so I can pull it out and go to my next tip. So this, let me get this out of the way.
So when you're working on an order, Amy, and you have like a lot of, are you working with such a small piping bag like I just saw you using?
Yep, I always do this, and that's because of my hand.
Okay.
I fill up a whole bunch of these and have them ready to go just because it's easier on my hand right here. I've piped tens of thousands of cupcakes over time. And so it's just easier for me for this little detail work to not blow my hand out and not be able to do cupcakes. Okay. So guys, this I'm going to try to show you, but it really with this closed tip has to be a straight up and down thing. So let me see. And I'm using Zenology unbleached parchment squares 4x4. They're on Amazon. Let me see if I can do it this way. I don't know if it'll work, but I'm going to try. If I were working up and down, it would be like this, right? I'm going to try to show you this way. Let me put a little creases.
That's a tough one to film.
So this, if you just work back and forth, right? Look at that beautiful little flower. Can you see it? Did it come into focus? Isn't that pretty? With all the ruffles. I love that. And then, of course, you have to work in candy, right? So you can put a white beaded pearl center. But this one is so nice because as it's coming out, each of the little ruffles is entirely separate. Can you see that? Because it's got that close.
That piping tip essentially has 5 petal tips all built on one piping.
Yes. So, and pressure, watch this. The pressure allows me to go to that size. And you can see it's a very minimal amount of motion with my hand. I'm just not even a quarter turn.
Are they called drop flowers?
I don't know. I just think they're pretty. Can you see they almost come out looking like chrysanthemums? Do you see that?
And if you make them smaller, like less squeezing, you get a very kind of like a little basic 5-petal flower. Yes. And you can add a pearl to it while it's wet.
Yes, like that size is what I would typically use unless I'm doing a floral bouquet. But this is a great tip on cupcakes or cookies. So you can see just that little bit. I've got 4 different sizes there for you, all with the same tip. They all look very different. Isn't that neat? So I mean,
it's one of those things, you make a batch of icing, you say, tonight I'm making flowers, and you just practice and experiment.
And here's another cheater trick in case you don't want to do the motion with your right hand. This works really great for me. When you're straight up and down, if you're using a small piece of parchment, use your other hand to rock the parchment.
Yeah, that's a good trick.
And you get a totally different flower. It's much lower to the paper, right? Do you see that? And then just drop a white pearl in the center. Then you can leave. I like to pipe it like this when I know it's like a bridal shower or a wedding or something. I like to have the leaf already attached. So I'm just, when I'm in a hurry, I'm flooding, I'm dropping, doing my stenciling, and then I drop these on and I'm done. These are great for Easter too, for crosses. These look great on Easter crosses with a minimal amount of piping on the cookies so they can be baked very close to Easter. But something like this, you can do this in 5 or 6 different colors, and you can use this all summer long. Because if you do this in a blended bag with orange and yellow, this makes a great marigold. Like there's all kinds of flowers you don't really think about. So if you want to do that, yes, it is carnations and hyacinth. But think about those things and how you might use it. But what's nice is you can go low profile or you can come really far up with this tip. Look how much some of those are. Right? But then look on this side and you see how my icing must be the certain consistency because this is not moving at all on the paper. So if you have people that are concerned about having the big flower and consuming the big flower like this one, because this is a larger flower, even though it's leafy It's loose leaves, right?
It's not. It's
If
not.
they don't want size accents, and you can just do. Let me see. Where's that tip at? This is in white, but I don't want to change it real quick. Okay. So don't forget, you've also got all those little. You can make super basic flowers with a round tip if that's all you have. You just do a center, and then you come around and add the other pieces. Right? And you've got a little flower right there, sweet little flower, and just do a whole bunch of those in different colors. You've got your accent piece. You can add a couple of little leaves to it. Would you guys like to see that other leaf tip that I showed you? The, what's the number on that one, Mar?
I don't know the numbers, but I told you I don't remember my name, so I don't remember.
That it's a 352. Do you guys want to see the difference in this? Because it's the difference. It's the difference of this leaf versus that. So how about I do it in that same
So that one that she's using now, you can actually cut your piping bag in a pinch.
Yes.
You don't have. You can cut like a triangle, a point in the end of your piping bag and make your own version of it.
Yes. And depending on, again, whether you hold that piping bag upright or sideways, you're going to also get two different tips. So take a look at this. This is the 352. And it's being held sideways. Do you see how this one looks? For a leaf, you can get a more broad, loose leaf. Can you see that? Or do I need to lift it? Let me get another piece of parchment.
So you're right. Who wrote Cheryl? That's true. They make great sunflowers.
Yes, absolutely. Look at this one. This is the one I use when I make sunflower. Right? A little stiffer icing, more upright, not lying down. So guys, if you find you're working with a runnier icing and you're going to have to lay it down, then just go lower profile on the cookie and go back, redo your icing, a little stiffer consistency, and go back and just add a few that are upright. Because again, you have to factor in a lot of things here. I know I always talk to you about this, but you have to factor in how you're going to package it, how it's going to be received. This is not something I would ever do in mail. These are not flowers I would mail.
No, and the thing is if you even put them in a bag and put like to deliver, you're going to end up with green bits of icing in the bottom of your bag.
You've got to be really careful. You've got to work through all of that. And that really, as a cookier, that's your job to work through that, not the customer's job, because they're not going to know that when they're asking you for something. So you really have to take the time to educate them and explain to them, this is why we can do this for this circumstance, and we do this for this circumstance. This is not going to turn out like you want it for this. Look at this sweet little cookie, you guys. I mean, this sweet little
push your paper a little higher towards your cookies there. Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah.
So just the addition of the leaf, you can go back and you can diamond dust these. You can do, well, once these are good and dry, there was a time where I didn't have an obsession with the gel colors when I first started. So I used to make these in just white, and then I would airbrush them and then go back and add the leaves. You can certainly do that. They also, if you do that, they make great, they're really cute for certain PYOs. Instead of doing the dots, you can do these little guys and use them on there, right? So there's a lot of uses. So if you make too many, don't worry about it. But this literally is, like Mar said, sit down with a cookie sheet lined with your parchment paper, be watching, chilling out to Netflix or something, and just start piping flowers, because you will be surprised how handy they are. Right? When in a last minute order comes in and somebody really needs something, you'll be very surprised how quick you'll go to your stash of these. And Mar had great tips 2 videos ago on how to store your royal icing transfer. So definitely go back and watch that. That's super helpful.
I did flowers with Sweet Am's. It's the thumbnail is a heart with flowers. Here, shout out to Joseph. He got a new wheelchair. Congratulations on your purple wheelchair.
And I don't have time to do toothpick roses today, but I do want to show you, if you caught the video at the beginning, do you want to see the cookie, Mar, in person?
Which cookie are you talking about?
The fairy.
Oh, yes. So she's doing is this live or just a virtual class?
This is going to have both. I'm going to actually, it goes for sale. It will be up on our website, seriouslysweetcupcakes.com. It's Bella Fairy.
Why don't you put it back, because you're too close. They can't see it all.
Let me see if I can lift it up. This goes the class will go for sale on my website on Friday. Let me see if I can lift it. She's so big. That's why I have trouble showing her, because she's very large cookie. You see her now?
Yeah.
So the class goes up for sale on Friday. There will be a time that you can do the class live with me. And if you don't want to do the class live, then you'll have the recording. And of course, as long as Facebook exists, you'll have access to the group. But she's the companion piece for the cookie I'm going to do for free in Cookie-a-thon. So I love her, though. This is brush embroidery used on her wings. There's diamond dust. We're using some fondant mats for her. She has a hand-cut wafer paper skirt, because you know I'm in love with all the things you can do with the wafer paper. And of course, we've got some shiny gold on her. But she was really fun to do. She's my first cookie that I literally sketched her and had somebody make the cutters for me. So this and my gnome house are completely my designs.
That's fun.
Yeah, that was really fun. So I will remember her. I took good pictures of her because she's a first. So I just hope that everybody enjoys the spring cookies that are coming, because they're so much fun and there's so many beautiful things out there right now. And we definitely could use a little cookie joy, right?
Exactly. So she's going to have her class listed on her website on Friday at noon. You can buy your spot.
Right.
And then if you want to rewatch today's live or any other live,
Yes.
they're all saved in our playlist, so you can rewatch, and you can follow us I'm on Fridays with Han and Sweet Ams, Hanyellis and Sweet Ams, and Tuesdays with Amy. And like, we've been going at it now for a few weeks, so there's a lot of great videos up. Teach.
Yes.
I think stuff every week.
Hope the flowers was okay for you guys today. I'm not
I think everybody enjoyed it from what I was reading, Amy. I mean,
okay. I couldn't see the comments. I was so focused. It's so hard when you're doing that little work to watch.
Yes.
Those. But there's another tip that I really want to show you guys, but I have to find it. And I used it for an order. I can't find it, but it's the larger one of that curve.
Oh,
and then another day I'll use it on a cookie. This one's also very pretty. You can't see it from there. Let me hold it here. It's a 1/16. So it's got that wave. This is also exceptionally good for summertime cookies, mermaid, under the sea cookies, that kind of thing, to do accents. It's very good for that. So you have to just get some. I want to encourage you seriously to play with the icing consistency. Get these different tips. They're not expensive. These Wilton tips are not, especially if you have a 40% off coupon, and just start playing, because just because they have a picture up that it should look like that this tip should do this, like on the left-handed thing I showed you.
Yeah.
So just because they show you that these 3 tips do these 3 things, most of the tips that I use, most of the tips that I use, I actually only keep the tip in my stash if I use it for 5 or 6 things, right? Because otherwise you just end up with all this stuff that you don't use, and that's not the point, right? You want to get creative and make it work for you.
I found on AliExpress that you can get big, large, like lots of assorted tips, very, like really affordably in comparison to what we pay in store per tip. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And Marlyn, you know the big Russian piping tips, the super huge ones that are good for cakes and cupcakes? Do they make those in a mini yet, where you could use them for cookies? Has anybody seen those?
Which ones?
You know, the really big ones. So they have like almost
the Russian ball tip.
Yes. The ball tip and the flat ones. Do they make those in mini yet?
No, I haven't seen those. Actually, that's some of my more popular YouTube videos.
Yes.
And no, well, the Russian ball tip, I would compare it to the drop flower that you were using,
right,
because it's essentially the same, right? There's 5 openings and it fills up the cupcake. But the flat flower, have you tried that with royal icing?
No, I have only done it on cupcakes, and I wish they'd make it in the minis so that we could do it on cookies, because they're quite beautiful.
Because you can do it, but you need so much icing in your bag.
Yes.
And then it doesn't lift off as nicely as the buttercream, right?
But don't you think if they make minis, we want a commission. Mara and I want to go to the beach, so we need a commission if you make the minis.
Yes.
But I think the minis would be so much fun.
Well, any gadget, right? We love the gadgets.
Yes.
We love the gadgets. All right, so I think we're good.
What are we doing next week? Do we have any ideas? Did we have
I mean,
requests?
honestly, I think that we can stay in the whole spring
And Easter?
spring theme. Yeah, you can go spring, woodland, whatever. I mean, there's so many things going on. So what's spring? We've got wedding season starting.
Look.
Right? What did you find?
So they have, remember last week with the Easter cookie? Right? So we did the rainbow. I was showing you the ropes.
Yes,
so
yes.
Have the rainbow. This is fantastic for St. Patty's Day, by the way. But when I went to get eggs, they had the strawberry. So this is all pink, an all pink handle in case you could only get the wafer paper bags of pink and blue, right? This would be a pink handle. You could do a little girl's Easter basket. And then this one, if you wanted to use, this is sour apple. So you could do it with the sour apple wafer paper and keep an all green theme. And then, of course, I just picked up some more rainbows because, you know, who doesn't need more sweet tart rainbows?
I went to the store. They had none of that.
Yeah, so I didn't know they had the other colors. I've only ever seen the rainbow. So I got several of them because I didn't know if it was just an Easter thing or not.
I don't know what you're saying here. Hobby Lobby. Oh, here, this is what she's saying. Hobby is doing away with
they're coupon. I heard that. Is that true?
I guess. I don't know. It's
yes, color, Jeremy. Look,
they might be hurting.
Yeah, maybe. You know,
the Russian tips at Michael's are priced insane. The price, like maybe, I don't know if you can use your coupon. The prices are crazy. And I did not find that they looked any different than what I have.
I bought them normal and I bought them from AliExpress. They look exactly the same. The stainless steel looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
But you've seen smaller Russian tips in plastic at Michael's? I haven't seen that. I'll look online today. Thank you for that.
I'll look, but I haven't seen.
Okay.
Yeah, Easter. I think Easter, spring, like I was saying, bridal, Mother's Day. These are all kind of like, they kind of like, you know.
Yes, I have something planned for Easter. If that's okay, I'll do Easter again next week.
Oh, here she's saying they're going to, Angie's saying they're going to do better sales.
Okay. Well, maybe, you know how they pick a group of products, one week it's on sale 40% off and everything else isn't. Maybe they're going to do a more store-wide thing because people aren't going out every week. It didn't used to be a big deal, right, to go out every week, but now it's a big deal. I don't do it. It's like once every quarter.
Well, the thing is they've got to be hurting a little bit with everything going on, right?
Sure. I know that they didn't get my normal Christmas window business because I like to replace and add to my candy decorations every Christmas, but I haven't been in a Hobby Lobby in a good bit. I had other people shopping for me, so there was no impulse buying.
Stephanie, AliExpress is, I've not had any problems ordering from them.
I haven't either.
I think that, you know, maybe they have a bad rap, people maybe in the past, maybe, but recently they've got just the same insurance as buying off eBay. They'll refund you if you don't get your order.
Isn't it ALI though for the spelling? It's ALI Express.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And Catherine, I got my mini peeps too. Someone got those for me last week. They're itty bitty, so I'll be using those in this Easter basket. I'll either use my little chocolate rabbits that we did last week, or it'll have a peep.
Yeah, I found the shiny. Bye, Joseph.
Bye, Joseph. Happy birthday.
I found that those pearl ones there that you had showed, but really my Walmart in Canada, it's
but you know the pearl ones, Mar, they're beautiful just for springtime. Easter, not Easter baskets, but bird's nest. They're beautiful.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
They're gonna look great in there. Yeah, mini peeps, you guys. They're not close by, or I'd show you, but they're like 1.5 inches long, not even 1 inch tall. They're little miniature peeps, and they're about the same size as this little bunny. You know, the little Hershey bunny that we did last week, about the same size. It'll fit on your 3-inch cookie. And Walmart in the Easter section. They're not in the regular candy.
Okay. Well, that was great, Amy. We're only 24 minutes over time.
Is that a record or do we go longer? We're supposed to.
I think one time we went longer than that. Han was on, so, and I just didn't have the heart to stop her, so she was.
Well, I figure you can come and go as you need to, right? Better we show you everything and then you decide.
Yeah, and like we said before, if you're just arriving, you can replay the live beginning. I was doing airbrush, or it was a lot of stuff in the first half. It was also a lot of stuff, so you can rewatch that.
I really like those number cookies though, and I like the
patterns
that you did today very much because those are all things that are going to be coming up in the next couple months.
Yeah, it's
the mermaid and that rose pattern. That's a lot of what we do for the birthday parties in the summertime.
Yes, it's the popular themes. I think the one I missed is Snowflake for Frozen.
Oh yeah, Frozen is all year long. It doesn't matter if it's summertime.
But that would be cute. You add a little snowflake kind of thing to, and then you could add sanding sugar around it or something.
Absolutely, that would be beautiful. And oh, you know what? That gives me a good idea for some Peeps bunnies, actually.
Oh.
Well, we'll see what happens next week. I might break out my airbrush. I'm not proficient with it, but I do really love it. So we may break that out next week.
You can rewatch. There's a playlist with all the lives, and just go in the video section and you'll see them. So thanks everyone for joining us. And
we had a great time.
See you next Tuesday with Amy, on Friday with Daniela's and Sweet Am's. On Friday, we're doing St. Patrick's Day.
Tasha's not in Canada.
What?
She said, remember earlier we asked her where she was? It was snowing. She said not in Canada.
Oh, not in Canada. That's all the good stuff. Yes. Well,
oh, no, she must be in Canada. She meant that they don't have it in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.
Week.
Bye.
Bye.